ridiculous.
Well, here's the thing.
Maybe. Sometimes.
Tell me about this. I want to know more.
Oh, yeah. No.
Holy cow.
We've had a lot of fun.
So this week, my daughter wrote the SAT, the dreaded SAT.
Dreaded SAT. So following up on our kids and stress episode.
Yes.
Is she just now free of stress and
No.
light of step and no trauma?
Can you believe it? Her history teacher gave them a unit exam the morning after the SAT.
That seems unnecessary.
It was so unnecessary. In fact, she's had just as much homework, this past week as she has had all year. And it's so, I'm fuming. Like literally the steam is coming out of my ears because I think it's so unfair that these kids are expected to write this 5-hour exam, prepare for it, the hours that she put into preparing for it to get into a college, and yet still maintain all of their schoolwork and studies and assignments and for the kids that are who are doing like the honors classes and the AP classes, and it's so it's too much. It's unnecessary. I just think, really, I mean, it's just way too much. And I'm really upset that the teachers gave so much homework prior to the exam and continue to give homework, because that's what I thought. I thought, wow, okay, she's working really hard, because on top of her, for the past 3 weeks, on top of school, she's been going to SAT prep classes for 3 hours, like 3 times a week in the evening, which of course ate into her homework time.
Right.
So she's just been stressed to the max. And so I was thinking, okay, once the SAT is over, it's going to be downhill, she can relax, there's not going to be all that stress. And I said to her, so what are you doing this weekend? Are you going to go out and enjoy, have some fun with your friends? Oh no, I've got assignments due, and I've got to study for this, and I've got to study for that. And I'm like, enough already.
Yeah.
Why are they doing this? I don't understand. I don't understand the SAT thing, and I just don't understand this system of let's give lots of work because that equates to being, a good thing.
Well, do they do when you're in college, you'll have a lot of work. You should get used to it. No, that's what we used to get when we complained.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. It just seems to be this, this standard. Maybe it's just this particular high school, because I hear that other high schools don't give as much, but I don't know. It's, I look at every day she comes home and, throws down her books, looks at her phone for 15 minutes and goes upstairs and starts doing her homework. And she's legit doing her homework. Like, she's not just saying, I'm doing her homework, and then she's on her phone.
How long does she have to wait till she gets her scores?
So they've sped it up because, see, the college board. Don't even get me started on the college board. But they've 10 days.
Wow. 10 days? Oh, wow.
Yeah, 10 to 15 days. Yeah. So she'll get it like by the end of March, within 2 weeks, because they want the kids to take more than one test.
Right.
Oh.
It's money. It's all about the money. So they want them to take more than one test to, improve their scores, and so
let them know they failed right away so they can sign up for the next one.
Yeah. My son, when he did it, it was like 8 to 9, 10 weeks. It was
I thought it was like months.
No, the turnaround time is just, almost instant now. So anyway, that's my big, I just don't know. I'm stressed.
I would say, boy, I'm glad I'm not back in those stressful days anymore. But, every age has its own stress. I've got plenty of my own right now. So,
yeah.
you get older and then you think, The SATs. I remember when that's all I had to stress over. Those were the days. Well, we will be getting into more sources of student stress in a little while, and parent stress, just because we're all about the stress here at Parenting Roundabout.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. But first we're going to say hello and welcome to our cheerful and uplifting podcast, Parenting Roundabout. We are a weekly podcast about the things that parents are talking about, obsessing about, complaining about, and laying down in dark rooms over with a washcloth over their eyes right now. I'm Terry Morrow, and with me today are Catherine Haleko.
Hello.
And Nicole Eridix.
Hi there.
Today on the podcast, we're going to talk about after-school snacks. Aw, that's a comforting thing. Hold out through our first stressful topic, and there'll be some graham crackers and a glass of milk for you at the end of it. And then we're going to shout out some stuff we like on the Roundabout Roundup, and we're going to do some shameless self-promotion. But first, are your kids talking about the student protests coming up? It's the 14th of this month, right? A couple of days?
Yeah.
How is that looking in your kids' school? Because I hear about it, but I mean, I'm sure I will be seeing it out my window since the high school is right next door. But neither of my kids are in school at all, so I'm not really on the hotline level of knowing exactly what's happening. Are your schools participating in this? Is it like a sanctioned thing by the school, or are the kids actually going to have repercussions for walking out? How are they handling that?
At my kids' schools, we got a letter from the superintendent and then followed up by one from each, the middle school and the high school, that they are allowing them to do it. Mm-hmm. They're allowing them to walk out if they choose to, but they have to be called in by a parent as, absent for those 17 minutes.
So a protest permission slip, basically.
Right. Otherwise, they're going to be like unexcused, truant or whatever for that class period.
Yeah.
Which I thought was sort of funny. When your kid says, "I'm running away from home," and you're like, "Okay, I'll pack you a lunch." Like it feels like that to me. But
does.
I'm glad that they're allowing the kids who want to do it, and they're not trying to give them a hard time about it.
And how are the parents you talk to feeling about this? Is that the general sentiment among parents that if their kid wants to do it, they're happy that they're being allowed, or are they keep your butt sitting at your desk, kiddo, or you're in trouble?
I haven't really talked to too many other parents about it. I have seen on Facebook, for example, that somebody, I think a student, created a Facebook event for it at my kid's school, or at the high school, and a teenager that I know and a parent that I know both liked the event or said they were going or whatever.
This is making me think of Toby Ziegler in that episode of The West Wing where he was complaining about how all the protests get organized on Facebook. And, in his day, when his sisters took him as a kid to the protests, it was so much more organic.
Yeah, I mean, I sort of, by having this thing where the parent has to grant the permission, it does require that you talk to your child about it, which I think is a good thing. Even though, I sort of was waiting to have my kids come to me with it. Like, I didn't want to give them ideas or, you know what I mean? I wanted to kind of see what they said. And so far, one has said they're not sure if they want to do it, and the other one says, no, I don't want to do it. So I said, okay, fine, however you decide. I'll back you up.
Is there peer pressure to do it, though?
Unclear right now.
I guess it depends on where you live, and
it depends on who your friends are.
Yeah, well, that's true, too. That's what I really wonder and worry about, because my kids would not have really understood or been that into it.
Right.
But, you don't want your kid to be uncool by not doing it when everybody else is doing it, and yet at the same time, you don't want them to do it just because everybody's doing it, because don't we tell kids not to do that?
Right. And it's kind of like, remember, this came up in terms of voting. Yeah. Like, you didn't want to tell your kids who to vote for, but yet you want them to participate in the democracy. But it's very hard to talk about it without imposing your own your own thoughts on it.
Yeah.
And you've got a particularly difficult situation with that right, Nicole, in terms of peer pressure and
Yeah.
ability to do the thing that everybody's doing?
Yeah, we're in a bit of a conundrum because most of my daughter's friends will do it, and it sounds like the majority of kids in the school, and we haven't heard anything from the school district. But interestingly enough, there was some concern that the kids would be penalized in some way if they did walk out, for example.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my daughter was thinking that maybe the teachers would plan a unit exam or a test for that day.
Wow.
You know, at our school, really, I'm sure that's probably what they'll do.
Right.
And given their track record.
Uh-huh.
But interesting, she was saying that I guess the school, there's an accreditation team that's coming through the school that day.
Oh, man.
Boy.
So I think
That is bad planning.
Yeah, so I think I feel she's saying that they're thinking that the school won't do anything if the kids walk out because this accreditation team, like, I think the school just wants to show that they're supporting the kids. I'm not really sure what she's thinking and where she's getting her information from, but that regardless of the fact that, and this is our issue, is that my daughter wants to walk out, but she can't. She's legally not allowed to, and that's something that we don't often think about when we see people who are not participating in these events. And the reason that she's not allowed to is because we're not American citizens. And so under our immigration, you know, we're permanent legal residents, so we have all our paperwork. And under those regulations, we're not allowed to protest and or show up in demonstrations or just, you know, show any kind of dissent against something that's happening with the government or anything. So so yeah, interesting. So she's kind of thinking, well, you know, if everybody gets up and goes out of the classroom, I'm going to have to sit there.
Right.
How do I, you know, explain? I mean, I think her closest friends, they obviously know why she wouldn't, but she's thinking, how am I going to explain this one? Because it's not just as simple as like, you know, I don't want to. It's not about that. Yeah. It's bigger than that. And kids don't, you know, lose interest when you start in the details of immigration law. So, yeah, so it's, and
that's a difficult situation.
It can, you know, and if you don't know, it might be quite a judgy situation. And, so I was thinking, we were just sort of, you know, strategizing how maybe she needs to go to the bathroom at that time. I don't know.
Maybe she's going to be sick that day. Does she have a little, how's she getting over the flu? You know, maybe.
Maybe
there's a lot of that going on.
If there's test plan, I don't know. So it's just kind of like
that's true.
A little bit. And so a little bit of an issue. So it's kind of, and it's one of the several that we've faced over the years, interestingly enough. And, so I don't know how that's going to all work out.
Is there like a sympathetic teacher or administrator who can like call her to the office just at that time or something? Or before that?
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, I never thought
Counselor,
about that.
maybe?
Counselor, yeah. Maybe, you know what, that's a really good idea.
So if she's not in the classroom when they all walk out, then nobody knows whether she did or not. I was on the other side of the school.
Yeah. I was in the counselor's office.
And I couldn't, I couldn't leave because talking about SATs.
Yeah.
Talking about colleges.
So that's a good solution. Because I'm thinking, we just had all this random stuff going, you know, we were kind of a bin, but, you know.
Well, hopefully nobody listens to this podcast. So we just busted her.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure her peers don't listen. We're good.
Nobody listens to it. It's the three of us playing it back for ourselves over and over again.
You never know that we might have a big fan base among high school students.
Well, that's true. That's true. They characteristically, just like high school students, they never comment on anything. They never say anything.
No, they just
that's
lurk.
just
right.
You wouldn't expect kids to, write things on social media.
Exactly.
They don't want us to know,
that they're lurking and listening.
It would seem uncool.
I know. So if there are any high school kids out there, it's not because my daughter doesn't want to walk out. She can't.
Yeah, I know. I just try to think. I mean, very, very glad my kids aren't in school now, because I'm sure they would do it, but if everybody else was, they wouldn't know what it was. And, disruptions of routine are very, very difficult for some kids.
Yeah.
And this is going to be a thing. I wonder what happens to like the special ed classes, if there are still special. I mean, there's still self-contained special ed classes in our high school. Do they take them out? And then is it like, are they doing it because they want to do it or because the paraprofessionals think it's cool? I don't know. I just see all sorts of problems with it, which isn't saying that it shouldn't happen. It's just nothing is simple. I am the gray area person. Nothing is simple.
And it's not simple for across the board, right? It's not
yes, it is not
a certain population, because there's other situations that prevent people from doing what they want to do. So
yeah, and also, if somebody has a principled opinion different than the larger population of the school, they're in a very tight situation.
Right.
Either they just kind of do it because they don't want to deal with it, or I don't know. It seems like at a time when we're not wanting to do things that increase bullying, something like this is kind of
some peer pressure.
It has the potential to create some unfortunate peer pressure situations.
Mm-hmm.
So I imagine schools are trying to find ways to orchestrate it so that doesn't happen. I hope they are.
Oh, I don't think so.
In the middle school, they talked about they're going to have like a banner or a card of some kind that they're going to send to the school in Florida that kids can sign, and something else, some other stuff where they're trying to sort of teachable moment thing.
Right.
So I'm looking for the letter so I can say what exactly they're. A banner available for students to sign or share a message of support, and 17 acts of kindness, encouraging them to do that.
Yeah.
Either in addition to or instead of,
Yeah. That's something that's a little more meaningful.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys remember anything like this when you were in school?
Oh, gosh,
Did you ever have any protests at school or walkouts or?
It's Canada. We don't protest.
You just politely say,
no, thanks.
We're just gonna nod in the direction of that thing, and we'll all just know we did it. Yeah, we had one year when I was in high school, I think it was my senior year, the teachers went on strike for a week or two. And every day to go to school, you would have to cross a picket line of all your favorite teachers, and it was kind of difficult. I don't think any of the teachers were specifically telling the kids not to go to school, but there was, some kids were not wanting to go to school while the strike was on. Of course, probably they're just happy to get out of school. Mm-hmm. But, if you're a kid who likes school and wants to be in school, doesn't want to get in trouble, you kind of have to do it. But it was very awkward. I think some kids did picket with the teachers.
I shouldn't say we don't protest, but because when I was teaching in Canada, we did have several teacher strikes because the teachers union in British Columbia in particular, a very strong union. And so we would have to be on the picket line quite a few times. And that was always interesting, but for the public respected that, and it was only the administrator in the building, and she supported it too. So it was.
So the kids didn't go to school while the strike was on?
No. Oh gosh, no, because the paraprofessionals were with us. The people in other unions joined us, and so it was very, and it was province wide. So nobody went to school. So I think they were out for. Like 2 or 3 weeks, I think.
Yeah. No, we still had school, but I don't remember. I guess it was just all substitutes and people they could strong arm into getting into a classroom.
Oh, yeah, no.
That's weird.
Talk about peer pressure.
How about you, Catherine? Was there anything in your school when you were growing up that people protested about?
No, I can't think of anything. Several years ago here, our governor and state government passed a law that was really trying to gut the teachers' unions and the various workplace protections that teachers had. And so parents and kids were wearing, special ribbons to show support for the teachers. But that was kind of it.
Yeah.
It was, and you put a ribbon on a kindergartner. They have no idea what it's for.
That's
but
right.
but it was how the parents showed that they were
Right.
trying to support the teachers.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, you don't want to be the one who doesn't send your kid with a ribbon, because then you're wondering,
Right.
what are they going to do?
Yeah. No, it's very challenging.
Peer pressure there, too, a little bit.
Well, I think just the moral of the whole story is that we can't judge. We can't make assumptions about why people are doing things or are not doing things.
Yes.
Because it's never as easy as, oh, I just don't want to.
Right. And you know what? If you just don't want to, you should have the option of just not
That's
wanting
fine
to.
too.
Well, it's sort of like we talked about before, things on Facebook, like, this seems to have died down a little bit, but like, changing your profile picture, or posting something in support of whatever.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember at the time we talked about how, like, just like, I usually don't do that stuff because, how do you choose which ones are significant to you that you're going to
Right.
do something and which ones aren't, and then there becomes a judgment there.
Right.
So I just don't do it at all. And we talked about the challenge of that, especially with
Right.
teens and young adults too.
Right.
Yeah.
And oftentimes I see the posts that say, they're talking about some good cause and say, I bet nobody is going to put this on their timeline. And it's
I
so judgy. It's like,
And
well,
I'm like, nope, you're right about that. I'm not doing it.
No.
do not assume that this equates with a lack of caring about your issue. I just
Yeah.
don't like
Don't
to
wanna
be
get involved.
guilted into putting stuff of dubious
Yes.
provenance on my timeline.
Yeah.
Mhm, exactly.
I know.
Oh, well, should we talk about something more comforting? I was at a meeting the other day, and for some reason, it was a group of 4 or 5 people, and for some reason, someone just said, what was your favorite after-school snack when you were a kid? What did you look forward to when you were coming home from school? And of course, my brain immediately went to, oh, well, that's a good speed round. So, therefore, I am asking you today, did you have a favorite after-school snack, and what was it? Nicole?
Oh boy, this is a hard one for me.
Ketchup chips?
No, because my mom, she grew alfalfa sprouts in her
Oh.
cupboard. So my after school snacks were always like not anything I look forward to. It was
Ew.
like an
I
apple.
grew something for you while you were in school, dear.
Right. Enjoy this.
It was like a banana or just something very.
Oh.
So when I got older, I got smarter. And I would stop at the corner store on my way home. I don't think that was a very smart choice health-wise, but it was definitely more comforting than going home.
Yeah.
I found comfort in our corner store.
There you go. In the loving embrace of the corner store and all of the junk it had to offer.
in the chocolate bar aisle.
Yes, they never made you eat a banana.
Nope. And then I would get home and my mom would say, "Are you hungry?" And I'd say, "No, I'm fine." So I do not have fond memories of coming home, sitting at my kitchen table with an after-school snack.
How about you,
Poor
Terry?
little Nicole. I'm sure I had some sort of delicious, not healthy after-school snack. I can't remember. What's flashing through my head right now is graham crackers with margarine and cinnamon sugar sprinkled over them. I could go for that right now. Actually, I haven't had that in years. So that would be obviously I think that was something that my mom used to make for me. But I'm sure there would always be some sort of cookie or sweet to greet me after a hard day. So I'll put that down as mine because it just for some reason came into my head. So maybe my brain is remembering something.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was yours, Catherine?
Well, we always had a babysitter caregiver after school because both my parents were working, and there were a series of them, but one in particular used to make us really good snacks after school. Like, she would make us waffles and ice cream Like a nice.
I want to come to your house after
Yeah,
school.
like a nice sandwich, 2 waffles with ice cream in between. And she would make us homemade funnel cakes. Like she would make the batter and she would fry them up right there.
Wow.
She would make these no-bake cookies. Those like chocolate things. I don't know. We used to call them moose turds. Because they're not very appealing when you look at them, but they taste good.
Yeah.
So yeah, those were some good years when we had that.
Catherine wins this topic.
When we had that babysitter, she was the best. Yes.
I feel so neglected.
Aww.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's what you got when your parents feel guilty for not being home. You get the babysitter who makes you stuff.
You're feeling guilty. Give them some waffles and ice cream, will you?
Aw.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Yep.
Waffles and ice cream. Wow. That's awesome.
Yep. She was fun.
Yeah.
Our babysitter, Carol, loved it.
Did she let you do other things that were particularly
No, I
delightful?
mean, she would then enforce like homework and take us places and stuff. Because I think I believe she was a teacher in a previous life. I think we would always have, because my parents were university professors, so our babysitters were always like grad students or grad student spouses.
Right.
So I think probably her husband was a student or something, and she had been an educator, and then she had a child too, so it would be the 3 of us plus her daughter.
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah. So
she lulled you into complacency with waffles and
waffles
ice
and
cream.
ice cream. Yeah. Clever.
You were powerless to resist with that. Full of carbs and docile.
Yes.
Do you offer your children the same exciting after-school snacks that you have?
No, I do not.
What do
I
you
am
give them?
always trying to make them eat fruits and vegetables for an after-school snack.
See how it's scarred, Nicole?
Corner store.
Well, here's the thing that we typically end up with is they come home, it's like 3:30, 4 o'clock, and they're hungry, and then they have to go, have practice or do something at 5 o'clock. So I try to give them dinner, at 4 o'clock or whatever, or leftovers from the previous night's dinner or something.
Yeah.
Rather than just give them a snack, because they aren't going to be around when it's like real people dinner time. So that's what we end up eating.
Yeah. Mine just come in and forage on their own.
Yeah, there's definitely
animals.
a lot of foraging that goes on here.
Yeah.
I don't do the grocery shopping, so they pick out their own snacks, cracker and cookie type products, and they would just come and you hear the kids come home, and then you hear the rustle of papers in the pantry.
Yeah. Oh yes, absolutely.
Cracker and cookie boxes are torn into,
Yeah,
and then I come in and I say, "Snack tax, give me some."
Right. All right. Well, that is our speed round for today, and you can hear a new one every Wednesday through Friday.
Yes, and now we will bring you some of the things we've read or seen or used recently or plan to in the near future that we want to shout out and share with you. I want to mention for everybody that although all the Olympics hoopla is long gone, the Paralympics is just now starting. They started this past Friday. As you're listening to this, and we'll be going on through this week and possibly next week. But we have there will be a link to a schedule for all the on TV and streaming coverage that there will be. NBC is doing some sort of coverage. Usually it's a little tiny bit on NBC, a whole lot on their affiliated networks, cast far and wide on your cable dial, and then a lot of streaming stuff. But take a little time, pick one thing out, and try to give it a watch, both to support these athletes who are doing amazing things and to get a little bit of extra Olympics enjoyment there. It's not too late. You can still get a little bit extra. So I'm always excited when the Paralympics come, because I have a very, very, very vague connection to one of the athletes There's a woman who's a skier, Oksana Masters is her name, and she's also participated in Summer Olympics, I think, as a rower and maybe some other things. But she was also adopted from Russia like my kids, and her mom and I were on the same Eastern Europe adoptive parenting email list for a while. And I heard lots of stories about her when she was growing up. And so it's like, I don't really know her. She doesn't know me. Her mother might vaguely remember me, but probably not. But I feel a connection. So I'm going to go watch her.
Yeah.
And hope she wins some medals. I'm following her on Instagram. She is adorable. And,
that's a great connection, I think.
Yeah. So it's like one of those kids that maybe your kid was in a preschool class with and you've had no further contact with, but yet you feel like, yeah.
You kind of follow them. Yeah.
Yes, you claim them as somebody with whom you have a history. So do please try to watch a little bit of the Paralympics. It's amazing stuff.
Yeah, great
And
point.
Catherine, what are you sharing this week?
Well, I thought I would mention a podcast that, of course, Terry turned me on to, which is how I get pretty much most of my podcasts, although there's been a few that I've sent her way as well. But the Poscast is sports writer Joe Posnanski and Michael Shore, who's the showrunner of The Good Place and Parks and Rec, and just some shows that we've very much enjoyed. And so they have a podcast, and it's sort of it's like nominally about sports, but also I think their tagline is sports nonsense drafts, because then they have these drafts where they, like the most recent one was characters from The Good Place. So Michael didn't participate. Yeah, Michael didn't participate in that, but they did Christmas carols. They do lots of like characters on TV series, or they do some sports related drafts too. I'm not gonna bother listening to those. They did office supplies, like what are the best office supplies. They did a draft of that, and they're just it's funny, but it's also like the host has a really good rapport with the people that come on. Yeah. And they're interesting, and they, the discussion of the Good Place characters was just really wonderful. And before that, actually, Terry, you might want to skip, because they did have a long conversation about Harry Potter. So I was listening to oh gosh, Terry's not going to like this. So,
I've listened to some episodes of that podcast where they talk about sports that I know nothing about, but I find just the way they discuss stuff amusing. Yeah. They're having a good time, and so it's fun to listen to, whether I really care about it or not. Yeah. And so I imagine I would feel the same way about Harry Potter. I just don't want to have to read actual Harry Potter. If some people are having an amusing conversation about it, I'm happy to listen.
So that's the podcast that I am going to recommend today.
Excellent. And Nicole, what do you have this week?
I want to shout out a local company here in town that, as you know, I hate cooking. And I've been using this company for years. I may have mentioned them before. I don't know. I can't even remember what I mentioned anymore, but it's the age. Yeah. But they're called the Prep Table. Okay. And they are like the ultimate in prepared fresh food. So they take all the fruits and vegetables that you want to buy, and they wash them and cut them up and put them in these like little serving containers, or they either vacuum seal them. And they are so fresh and they last forever. And there's no prep involved. You just pull it out of the fridge and use it. And they also make these meal kits where, like, chicken fajitas or tacos or, I don't know, whatever else they've got going on. And it comes with everything that you need to prepare the meal. But it's way better than those delivery box meals, let me tell you. Because it's all, like, fresh, like, made that day. It's an awesome company. I've been using them for years. And, I just want to give a big shout out to the Prep Table in Redlands, California.
That sounds great, but Nicole, my brain is still stuck back on a phrase you said, all the fruits and vegetables you want to buy. Do you want to buy any fruits and vegetables? I thought my understanding of you is rocked.
It's for your family, not for me.
So all the fruits and vegetables you are forced to buy for others.
You're forced to buy for your family.
This way you do not have to personally touch them. You just hand the plastic bag over to family members and say, here, kids, graze.
Exactly why I like it. I don't have to deal with Brussels sprouts and broccoli and cauliflower. I don't have to look at it. I don't have to watch it.
Do they bring it like in a box so you don't have to see even through the plastic? You can just hand it over.
No. It's all, because you got to know what you're handing over. So
I guess.
But okay, so I guess it's my way of, I spend a little bit of extra money, but it's my way of getting vegetables and fruits to my family without actually having to get overly involved in the process.
Now that's a testimonial. Yeah. I think they should put that on their website.
Yeah. If
Nicole
Erdick likes it.
If you want to give your family healthy food but don't want to actually come into contact with it yourself.
You don't want any interaction. Interaction free. Fruits and vegetables. So anyway, yes, they're awesome company. I cannot say enough about them. They're just, you get way more for the money. Like your value is just amazing. So, yeah. That's my shout out.
Excellent.
All right.
And now for our final segment today, we're going to do a little shameless self-promotion and direct you to some of the things on our sites that we think you should take a look at. Terry, have you got anything new?
By the time this podcast is heard, I will have a little rant up, probably on my Tumblr blog, Too Old for Cool, about the experience I've had lately, but specifically this morning, with customer service phone numbers that exist in a loop. You call one and they tell you to call the other one, which tells you to call the first one, and you can never get your answer. I had one of those a while back that I ranted about here with HP, and I had another one today trying to get my son's W-2, and this is something from, I should let the Good Place people know about this, because I think that one of their demons is responsible for it. We'll just keep telling them to call the other phone number. So I was going to rant about it on this podcast, but I would have taken the whole time. So look for that blog post and vent with me, will you?
Mm-hmm. Will do. Catherine, what have you got for us? You always have something new.
Yes, I have something on highlights once again, and it's kind of funny because they posted this on their Facebook, and a lot of people liked it and commented and shared it, and it's simply titled "Why Preschoolers Love Potty Talk." So, and of course, a lot of people commented like, "Preschoolers, my 40-year-old husband loves potty."
Exactly, I was going to say that.
So anyway, that was pretty recent and just came out over at Highlights, and so it's a little bit about understanding why and what to do.
And I just put something somewhat new. It's new to me, new to my site, not new to me. It's how to overcome the challenges to inclusion. And Terry and I have had many, many conversations about this.
Yes.
And so some of it is in print and on my website at theinclusiveclass.com. And check it out.
All right. Well, we will do that. And that's going to be it for this week's episode of Parenting Roundabout. We hope you enjoyed it and that you'll join us every week. You can listen to podcast episodes on Radio Public or download them from Apple Podcasts or other providers. Please subscribe so that you will get all of our podcasts and mini podcasts. You can follow us on Twitter, where I am C. Haleko, Nicole is Nicole Erdick, and Terry is Mamatude. You can also follow the podcast on Twitter. That's at Roundabout Chat. And look for us on Facebook, Pinterest, Tumblr, YouTube, and Instagram. Best of all, stop by our podcast page at parentingroundabout.com and read recaps, find links on all the stories we've mentioned, and talk back in the comments. Thanks to John Moran at johnjmoran.com for providing our in and out music. And I wish everyone a great week.